Hey, happy last week of April, first almost week of May. Boy, time does fly when you are stuck inside and days have no meaning. Isn't that fun? Um, I am talking to you today with an increasingly case of I don't know what my hair is doing anymore. I can't stop it. It's just untamable at this point. It's just the white hair is coming through. Anyway, we'll I'll fuss with it all video long. Anyway, um, So this right now, I'm gonna upload a quick video, which for me, we'll see how it goes. About 5 and 6, talking about also comparing to the other text that I posted, um, the the text from Akata Witch. I'll talk about that, and then that'll be it. Gotta keep it short though, because I have to upload this from home where the internet is lousy. So we'll see how this goes. Here we go. First, 5 and 6. Boy, this uh, it, what's happening with Holden Caulfield? One other episode of what is this boy doing? He is increasingly doing things that make me it's so cringy. And okay, I kind of talked about this stuff a little bit on Friday and Thursday with you guys briefly, but I want go more in depth here. So if there's one word that kind of categorizes this whole section, and I will refrain from using it because when I used it in the chat last week, some people got offended, so I made a handy dandy sign. And the word that has to do with this two chapters is this one. Today's class is brought to you by the word that. Yeah, I made a sign. Arts and crafts. Leave me alone. Um, so let's talk about this in two ways. First, let's talk about Ackley. Now, Ackley in this chapter refers to a story that Holden says he's heard 100 times, and each time's a little different. All about how Ackley is giving it to this girl he knows back home, and of course, giving it to her means meh. So like one time he's giving it to her in the Buick, one time he's giving it to her under the boardwalk. But what bugs Holden about this is because this guy is he's such a huge virgin. Oh my gosh, this guy. Can you believe this guy? What a virgin. I've never even heard of a bigger virgin than this guy. What a liar. Oh, it disgusts him. It disgusts him how much Holden it disgusts Holden how much Ackley is clearly lying about this. Because, again, it's almost like if we were using a modern terminology. I'm not going to use the one you're all thinking about. Um, it's almost like he goes like, "Oh, this Ackley guy, what like, well, what what a simp." There, I said it. Because a bit like Ackley is saying this in a monotone voice while picking at pimples. Really, just not like the suave, sophisticated manner of somebody who's had sex a bunch. Oh, I said the word. Sorry. Sorry. Uh, people with innocent ears. I apologize. And this is run also another bookend. This happens in chapter 5. In chapter 6, we have the other end of the bookend of the same idea, idea, when Holden is talking with a Stradlater about like, hey, are you and Jane gonna have you know what tonight? Gonna give her all the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more, say no more. And Stradlater's like, I don't know, whatever. We should be back by 9:30. Like, oh, you mean you'll be back at 9:30 in the morning? Right, wink, wink. Say no more. And that's such a weird thing. Like, literally, probably within an hour or so, these two conversations take place. So, in one regard, Holden is completely disgusted by Ackley having this. But Stratlatter, no, he's like, right, that's what bros talk. We talk about this all the locker room talk. So what are you supposed to make of this? Because these two ideas are so weird, but they're both coming out of Caulfield, the same guy. And shoehorned in the middle of these is arguably one of the most important passages about understanding Caulfield in the entire book. And that's the subject of the essay he writes for Stratlatter, So yeah, right in the middle of this whole passage between with all the talk about you know what, um, Holden writes this uh, narrative for Stratladder's English class, and he writes it about his brother. His brother, who, in case you weren't, if you weren't reading quickly, if you're reading quickly, you may have missed it. But he talked about Allie, who died a few years prior. Allie would have been 2 years younger than Holden, and Holden seems to, in this language, really understand that Allie brought the best this class to this family. He was super intelligent. He was super smart, clever. Everyone knew it. All the teachers knew it. Holden knows it. Their sister knew it. Their parents knew it. And then he got leukemia and died. And Holden talks quickly about this narrative about the baseball glove and how that's really upsetting him, and that how when his brother died, Caulfield mentioned that he was only 13, and then they had him psychoanalyzed, which means he basically took this really hard that his brother died, um, and he had to be evaluated clinically after his brother died because he punched out all the windows in, I think it was his kitchen. Hold on, let me just show you. Oh, all the windows in the station wagon. He punched him out. He goes, and I could have punched out more, but I broke my hand. That is not healthy behavior. And we were more like, okay, is something wrong with Caulfield? And we get like, maybe. He talks about his lousy youth in chapter 1, but this is kind of more intense than that. This is more like an actual maybe case for what is this guy's deal and why he's so just messed up and why he's so like clinical about like pushing people away. It makes sense, except Caulfield doesn't. Once he's done talking about this, he pushes past it because he gives the letter, the narrative to Stratladder, who hates it, and then they begin fighting, and then the date comes up and it's not mentioned again, like literally like a sunset. You get a brief glimpse of it and then it's gone, and that's kind of what happens with the story. It disappears. It by no means excuses Hallfield, Hallfield, Holden Caulfield. It doesn't excuse Caulfield's behavior, but it kind of explains it in small part. And maybe it'd be helpful more if we got more of it. And again, later chapters will kind of reveal more other parts of the lousy childhood, but I don't have it here. Um, but again, it's a question of do we empathize with him? Do we feel like, oh, now I kind of understand? Not defending it, well, maybe it does defend it, but there is something that maybe explains Caulfield's behavior. Which brings us to our other text, and when the idea of the empathy. This other text, I don't blame you if you haven't heard of it because it's from like 3 years ago. It's a newer text. It's called Akata Witch, and it is it's a great book, and it's a first of all, okay, it is fantasy. I don't care. It's very much like a magical school for kids kind of story. But the two chapters I gave you have no magic in them whatsoever. Just the same kind of mentality of isolationist that Caulfield is dealing with. And the main character of this book is called Sunny. Sunny has, in her words, a confusing childhood. Um, Summarized briefly because she was born in America to Nigerian parents, and then when she's 9, she moves back to Nigeria. So basically, that makes her, in her words, I don't belong either way. I'm not attached enough to America to call myself an American, although, when you read it, everyone in Nigeria, or at this point you already did read it, everyone in Nigeria already knows you're not local. Again, even that word Akata in the in the Niger pidgin language, which is a hybridization of West African languages and English, a little bit of French too. Um, it's this hybrid word that basically means outsider. I mean, you don't belong here. And a lot of these terms are thrown away towards Sunny, where she on principle, she's not Nigerian, which means a lot of Nigerians go, "You're not one of us. You were born elsewhere. Your parents were Nigerian. Your brothers are Nigerian. You're not." But then following up with that, she's also an albino. She literally is the skin of like her skin color is white. And she goes, and she says the intro like, I have West African features, but white skin as an albino. And so a lot of the students use the other word towards the end, uh, the word Oyibo. Stupid Oyibo Akata witch, says her classmate, Jibaku. And basically the word Oyibo is a derogatory term for anybody not Nigerian. It would pretty much be applied to people like me, white people, who are like, this kind of skin. But by calling her this word, it means like, not like, I'm identifying you with one, you're white. She says, I'm not white. She's like, nah, you're white. I think it's what Periwinkle says to her, like, you look white. She's like, I'm not white. And she's like, well, my eyes say you are, because she does have the skin tone of a white person. But it's because she's an albino. She has two Nigerian parents. If only she wasn't albino, she would fit in. So we have the same problem of fitting in one more time. But Sunny handles her outsiderness a little different. As you kind of see in the last half of this text, she's a little more sure of herself. In fact, she's a lot more sure of herself. She mouths off to her attackers and gets them all to kind of shove off by being honest. I love that phrase where at the end, like when they're like, "Oh, like why didn't you hit us? It would have been easier if you hit us. We have weak arms." Then you make teacher hit us because you're white, like she is. And Sunny's response is, I didn't hit you because I cannot in good conscience hit my classmates. Could you do that? Maybe you could, Jabaku, because we all know you're a terrible person. And that's a really, really cool way to respond, because here she is being the butt end of all the abuse, and turns around with not more abuse, but with logic. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's lose-lose for me. If I hit you, y'all gonna yell at me for hitting you. If I don't hit you, we have what happened here, yelling at me for not hitting you. Because I didn't hit you because I'm a good person. Would you have hit your classmates? I wait for your reply. I wait for your reply. And then she walks away. And like there's long pause, and even like Jubaku walks away disgusted, and that's where she goes, again. Any bully who replies with abuse is, you know, weak. So there's the stupid Ayubo Akata witch. She replies with these derogatory terms for, like, you're an outsider, you're a white person. That's what you are. You're not one of us. Which again doesn't address, like, she didn't reply like, well, whatever. But she kind of just takes her ball and walks away. But we have this same idea of the outsiderness. And again, the replies that a lot of you're doing are really good so far. That, like, what this causes for is, like, yes, they are both outsiders. They are both outsiders, but we empathize maybe a little more with Sunny because her outsiderness is not her fault. It literally is a genetic abnormality that she's born with. Couldn't help it. But she already has it in play where she even says things like, Sunny could always make her own classmates laugh even when she felt like crying. Like, even like she has a quote like, she's not like a complete outsider. People still kind of do like her enough to, like, not constantly. Well, not everyone's constantly trashing on her, which is good. That's a helpful thing for us to be aware of. But compare it to Holden's outsiderness. Holden's outsiderness is entirely based on his choosing. He is pushing people away, even though Stratladder is trying to, like, for the third time, leave me alone. He will not leave them alone. He puts them in a wrestling hold, and then they're wrestling on the bed in only, like, bedclothes. No, 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 no! That's not what's happening. They are literally just wrestling. Bad sign. So that's the main difference here. That we see this difference of Sunny understands she's an outsider, but she's working with it. She's working in the confines of her outsiderness. Caulfield's not. He is making his own outsiderness. Who knows what that's a good thing or not? I don't know. This all gets tricky though when it comes to the next reading, which is chapters 7, 8, and 9. Um, this next three chapters, which we'll be reading for the end of the week here, we'll have a discussion on Thursday or Friday, depending when you're watching this. And we kind of get one more layer peeled back on Caulfield's onionness or parfaitness. I don't know. People like parfaits. And that's basically this next level of what's really happening with Holden Caulfield, what's really going on within him. So again, read those three chapters for Thursday or Friday, depending on where you can be here for this discussion, and check the notes posted below about those chapters as well. Give you a little more insight, and we'll talk on Thursday or Friday. None in these chapters though.